Friday, y'all. Tiffanie Kellog here, and I am super excited today to be joined by another fabulous woman entrepreneur living child-free. Welcome, Chelsey Albert. We are so glad to have you here with us today.
Hey, Tiffanie. I am so stoked for this conversation.
So I have to start with a random fact, y'all. I was at a networking event earlier today, and I'm like, I'm looking for women entrepreneurs living child-free. And they're like, does it really have to be child-free? And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like the whole point of it. And they're like, can you describe to us these women? And I'm like, they're the most likely ones to have their hair dyed a color that's not natural. And it wasn't even like, it's not even like an official thing, but I'm just like, to me, if you're a woman business owner that's child free, that's pretty freaking specific. Like, I don't know that it gets much more narrow than that, but I'm like, but these are the women that are like very confident in who they are because they're entrepreneurs and because they're celebrating child free, they're a little unique. Do you feel that you're a little unique?
Oh, absolutely.
We're putting you on the spot. What makes you unique? Y'all never know where this conversation's going to go.
Ooh, okay. Chelsey the person or Chelsey the business person? And honestly, I think that is something that is just you. Okay, this is, by the way, you're also going to be getting some guest appearances from Piper the Hypno Cat.
Hi, Hypno Cat. I love the fact that not only is it Piper, it's the Hypno Cat. It goes along with it.
Honestly, my cats are my coworkers. They seem to know when the energy is good, and they love being in it. And they're my little healers too. They're like the two halves of my soul, so they kind of help out.
Love it. But what makes you unique is you have cats that assist in your work. Love it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm that cat lady, and I've got cats on my business cards. I think I have never fit into a box. And I think for the first little part of my life, I tried to be a box person. I would find a box, I would stuff myself into it, and then I'd have to break out of it. So I think I've always been a little bit on the unique side, even before I came into business. And then when I really started stepping into being a healer, when I started stepping into my own business, what I noticed is there's a lot of healers, especially, who really, we've all been kind of trained to be very soft, to be very earthy, to be very, dance with the moonlight kind of people. And yes, there's that part of me that is like that, but also I've always been a little bit too kooky for the practical people and a little too practical for the kooky people. So I ride this very interesting line, and my clients ride this very interesting line of they're empathic, they're sensitive, maybe a little intuitive, but they don't want to do like a full moon ceremony to get rid of their trauma. They want to actually fix it and solve it and use a little bit of science in it. So that, I think, the fact, to wrap up your question in a neat way, I have never fit into I've never fit into a larger box. So I tend to live outside of the box, and that doesn't mean super wacky one way. I just kind of live in that space in between everybody else's box.
Yes, I can totally get what you're saying. Because yeah, it's like, well, I'm kind of like this, but not, kind of like this, but not. Though now I'm like, am I putting us all in a box? It's going to be a fun box, y'all, that we're going in as women entrepreneurs living child-free.
And there's so many people out there that I think I'm starting to find more and more of them that never felt like they had a tribe and felt really awful about that. And I do think that motherhood has become, it's always been a tribe, really. But
like the original tribe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a beautiful thing. I don't knock it at all, but I think there's always been this kind of feeling of, okay, well, what tribe do I belong to then? And I think that child-free women especially are in this beautiful space to say, hey, you, jock, come eat with us at our table. Hey, cheerleader, come eat with us at our table. Hey, mother, you can come eat with us at our table too. Hey, theater kid, you can eat with us. And we create our own table. And we're free to do that.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to creating this table for us all to sit at. What excites you most, and then we're going to get back to your business, but what excites you most to be able to connect with these women entrepreneurs living child-free?
That's a really, really good question, because I mean, honestly, I think there is just a natural excitement around being around my people. There's thankfully, I grew up in California, so I didn't have quite the Southern pressure to have children that a lot of people in Tennessee, where I live now, are feeling. But it's just always nice to be able to drop the pretense and to be able to say, "You never wanted them either?" "Yeah, no, I didn't. It's just never been a thing." "You don't hate kids?" "I don't hate kids. I just don't want them." Great. And there's an instant connection, and it helps, especially in healing. I do think that some of the women who are child free are actually less inhibited in their healing, because there's not that layer of, well, I want to live the life that I want to live, but then my kids.
Mm.
We all have our hangups, we all have our barriers, but children, they're beautiful, they're wonderful. They unlock a level of love that I know personally I won't ever get to, because that is my choice. Um, but at the same time, a lot of the people that have the hardest time making those big transformations in their life are doing so because of the illusion that they have to stay the same for their
Mm.
kids.
Yeah, sometimes I think life is hard enough for me. And, to be, so much of my identity and responsibility of the other people. Like when we adopted Guinness and Harper, our dogs, they are like warmers for my feet, because I like sit Indian style or crisscross. Like they'll warm my legs, but they don't actually help with much except like puppy dances. So maybe they help me. They don't help the clients as much, but I love that. But like when we went to adopt them, I'm like, this is a lot of responsibility. Am I willing to do that? When my husband travels, I'm like, okay, now I have to shift. How do I take care of that? And we're talking dogs, y'all. For this live stream, I locked them in the bedroom because I'm like, I don't want them to bark. You can't do that with kids. You'll get in trouble. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And so it is such an interesting thing. Now,
Exactly. And
I
there's
have
this,
another question, but let's finish this conversation. But I'm going to ask something else in just a minute.
yeah, honestly, all I was going to say was there's this, I think that a lot of people that take on either the identity of to be a mother or to be child free, sometimes there's this layer of identity that comes with it, and it becomes their entire personality. I have never seen myself as like, okay, cool, I am a child free business owner. I just noticed that that is one facet of who I am. And also, I think a lot of the mothers that I do end up working with, um, there's this layer of, yes, but I'm a mother. Yes, but I'm a mother. Yes, but I'm a mother. And again, I understand that wholeheartedly. I mean, it's a huge life thing. Again, I am with you on the dog thing, because my cats, I like, these are my children, and I can't imagine my life without them. And I do filter a lot of what I do. Like, okay, the kitty's going to be okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I can't take too long a vacation. I can't just go off for a month. No, I need to be like, I've got a 10-day max. And even then, cats, I know I'm going to catch some crap when I get home. But yeah, all that to say, it's really wonderful working with child-free women. It's really wonderful meeting child-free women, because there's that mutual understanding there. There's that mutual, okay, yes, I see you. And it's wonderful.
Yeah. I love that connection, and finally feeling like, yeah, you're right. There is the tribe that, and I didn't know child free was a thing until December. So it's not like it's something I've always worn as a badge on my sleeve, though. I did have somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn yesterday, because I have child free in my description now, because I founded this group. I put it in there, and so I had my first person reach out for that. But I don't want that to take over. That's not my business identity. Just like I'm sure, it's not part of your business identity per se. It's just part of who we are, but not all that we are.
Exactly. And I love that about the way that you've set this up, is just to kind of let people know, hey, you have a place to come, because there's so many mommy groups. There's so many people who can market to mothers. That's the other thing. There's so many trainings. Like, are you a busy mom on the go? No, I'm actually just Chelsey, but I'm still busy and on the go. Where's, can I get a little help?
Right. Yeah, I totally get you on that. So I did have to ask, as a Southerner that's been a decade in Tennessee, what part of Tennessee are you in?
I'm just south of Nashville, so I'm technically in the Nashville area. But yeah.
Gotcha.
How about
I grew up west. I was in Memphis, so. But we were just in Nashville, so next time I'm in Nashville, we'll have to get together. But enough about all the side stuff, because y'all are here because you love hearing about these amazing women entrepreneurs living child free. It's what you're watching, and if you have questions as we're going through, put them in the comments wherever you're at. Now, if we're live while we're doing this, please include your name because it doesn't come through Restream. I don't know why that is. Don't ask. Just include your name in the comment so I can say, here's who asked the comment. And if you're watching this after we're live, go ahead and put your questions in the comment as well, because I will be checking these. Okay, I'm always checking my social media. So I will check in and make sure that we get your questions answered, even if it's not while we're here live today. Is that okay with you, Chelsey?
Totally. And if you can loop me in, if there's any questions for me, please shoot me a message and let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions too.
All right, so let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. She is an expert at helping her clients upgrade, ooh, I like that idea, upgrade their self-worth so that they can stop accepting less than they deserve in their professional and personal life. I love the fact that it's got both of those pieces together, because that's how we are in life. We got to find the harmony. By healing the hidden blocks in the subconscious mind, she helps them identify and remove the loops of self-sabotage and limiting behaviors, freeing them up to be confident to create the life, relationships, and money they deserve. So tell us a little bit about how you do this. Maybe give us a tip or two along the way if you feel generous today.
Oh yes, absolutely. So, so my original training is in hypnotherapy. So that was really what got me going in my career. Is I was just post-divorce. I had all these thoughts circling in my head that I knew they weren't true. I knew they weren't helpful, but they wouldn't go away. So I went and saw the guy who later became my mentor and learned hypnosis. Actually, I experienced hypnosis first, and then I had one session and one follow-up, and I never thought the same way again. So I thought, yes, I have to learn this. Then I started bringing in my pre-existing energetic training with it, and started bringing in my own intuition, because there were some things that they were even a little tougher to crack through than even hypnosis could deal with. So I learned theta healing, which is, it's energy work on steroids. It attacks I shouldn't say attacks. It heals the unconscious beliefs, not only on our own level, but at the genetic level. All the stuff that's been passed down through our ancestry, all the stuff that's been passed down through the collective beliefs that we've absorbed throughout our lives, and all of the stuff that has to deal with, past agreements and collective agreements, as well as our soul level. So there's a very spiritual aspect to a lot of what I do. I don't consider myself religious at all, but my goal is to help people heal at the mind, heart, and soul level. I always do involve the body. There's usually some kind of somatic healing, but really everything does need to be involved in healing.
So I'm hearing you say healing, and can you give us a few examples of what kind of things that you're healing? Because I think there are a lot of people that have things going on in their world that they don't realize need healing. Does that make sense?
Totally. So exactly. Yeah. So because what you said in my description, the bio that I sent, was that I help people upgrade, and I help people improve in their life, their money, their love, like all of the facets that we have, because everything really is interconnected. Our love life impacts our business. Our business impacts how we respond in our personal lives. Our money is always kind of a circular thing. Money, sex, and power are kind of all intertwined. So those are the effects. What we don't realize very often is when we're struggling in any one of those areas, it's not necessarily a skills deficiency. It's not necessarily, a lot of the women that I work with, they know exactly what to do. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly where they want to be, but there's this like little rubber band that just keeps snapping them back to the past, or it keeps snapping them back into an old pattern. Healing dissolves that rubber band. And so a lot of times it's not always so much about coaching. It's about healing the things that are keeping you from moving forward. And when that heals, look, I don't know what generation of vampire you were from. My vampires didn't sparkle. Yeah, my vampires did not sparkle. If you killed the original vampire, all the rest died off. That's the essence of what I do is I help people kill the original vampire so that all these little blocks that they have that were keeping them from moving forward disappear on their own, because our natural way of being is progress. The human soul, the human heart craves expansion. We're built for expansion. We're built to move forward. We're built to keep going up. Even as life goes up and down a little bit, we're built to keep kind of going up and forward. It's just all these little things that need to be healed along the way that keep stopping us. So really, I consider myself more of a healer than a coach or anything like that. And especially with hypnotherapy being one of my main tools, my goal is to help you kill the original vampire.
Okay, hey, I love the analogy, and what a great analogy of getting it done. So I'm trying to think what would be even a better analogy, and I just can't. I love the idea. It's like all these little things, because we do have things like that one big thing that impacts us, and all the little things that go along with it. So I am curious, when you think vampires, what were the vampires you were raised on?
Oh yeah, one of my big ones. Let's see, I'm trying to think, because I've actually been going through a really big expansion lately. This year has been a huge, and if you want a tip as well, as we're going through this, I just want every viewer to know that we're actually going through a big time of transition on this earth in our personal lives. So if you're feeling just out of sorts, that might actually be okay. You might actually be going through a transition yourself. So if you find yourself out of sorts, if you find yourself maybe not as enthused about what you used to love, or maybe you're finding yourself without any direction, or maybe you're just finding yourself feeling anxious, or, maybe a little depressed, or maybe just a little bit, that is actually okay. You might actually need to sit here and just observe it and see where you're going to go from here, because you might actually be in a time of transition. So back to your original question, one of the biggest things that I had to heal, and it shows up in facets sometimes, but I'm not enough. I think that's one of the big ones. There's some really big key beliefs that a lot of people come in with. And first we have to heal those before anything. One is I'm not enough. Another is I'm too much, which is really, really interesting, because then you get people that are repressing themselves, and then they start thinking that they believe they're not enough, when really they're just not being enough of themselves. So that one's an interesting flip. The other one is there's a fear of, it's kind of a fear, but there's a fear of being alone. And it's not always a fear of being alone with, a romantic partner, but there's this feeling of, I have to do everything alone. And I do think that's something that child-free women do struggle with more so.
Yeah.
I think there's this idea of well, nope, it's not going to get done if I don't do it. And, again, mothers do also struggle with this hardcore as well. But my big healing was, I think one of the biggest things I had to heal was I'm not enough. And that opened the door for me to start taking bigger risks, and to start approaching people differently, to approach people that were on the higher end of the economic spectrum, or maybe they just presented themselves in a little bit different way than I was used to be able to approach people of all kinds just as if they were human. And I didn't used to be able to do that. I used to be very reserved. I used to double back on my words. I used to negotiate my prices. And that is a big thing. Another thing that I think we struggle with, especially as women, is, am I providing enough value? Which is a little different than I'm not enough. Am I providing enough value? Will people pay for this? Am I giving enough for what people are paying? And so many of my clients will literally just break their backs to try to overgive to people. And what it's doing is it's exhausting them. It's it's keeping them from actually really being fully present. They're giving a bunch of fluff when really just giving one or two things deeply focused, deeply, present would be so much more powerful.
Yeah, I definitely find that it's so common in the entrepreneur space to give away it all right out of business.
I think we just need to sit with that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many people in the speaking world, the coaching world, all of the entrepreneurial worlds that they give it away and then they're out of business. And they're like, but it's my mission to give people, to get this out there in the world. But I think that if your mission is to do that, it helps to have a business that pays the bills so that you can continue to go out there and share it.
There's a lot of, that's also another one of the big tips is, and this sounds so cliche, but money is energy. So if you get nothing else from this, and if you struggle with charging what you're worth, or if you just struggle with charging at all and you're like just starting your business, money is not only energy, but it's permission. So if somebody is giving you, if you are serving a beautiful steak dinner, but somebody only gives you a candy bar's worth of permission, they will only receive a candy bar's worth of nourishment from that beautiful dinner you're serving. So it's a huge hurdle for people to get over, but once they do, they're over it. And yeah, money is permission. When people pay you what you're worth, they are saying, yes, please, I'm here to enjoy a steak dinner. I am here to get the nourishment of that steak dinner, and I'm going to love this steak dinner. But the people who want to negotiate to make it a price of a candy bar, they're only going to take in maybe this much. And God forbid it's fun size, because that's even less.
And I'm really glad steak dinner is actually on the menu for tonight. I'm like, yes.
Oh, good. Enjoy it.
Come on, honey. And it's funny, and I'm just sharing this with y'all because it is. So I love filet. My husband doesn't. My husband loves pork chops. I don't. So for dinner, he's making, I don't cook like this. He's making pork chops for him and a filet for me, and then the sides together. So just because you're a little different than the other people in your life doesn't mean that you have to do the exact same as them.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. I love that dynamic.
That worked out really well in this story for now. So tell me, how can people get together? How can they work with you? What does that look like?
Yeah, so you can work with me one-on-one. If you've got something that you really need healed ASAP, most of my clients experience healing and a really good significant shift in as little as the first session. Some things like phobias or panic attacks actually can be healed in one session.
Wow.
If you are needing support on a more ongoing basis, I do have a Catalyst membership, and that includes biweekly live coaching calls, a monthly healing, and an entire library of healing hypnosis audios that you can use every day. So there's a lot of ways to work with me and to get support. And I would also like to offer everyone who is viewing today or who views this in the future through your group. Wow, I'm sorry, the hamster just stopped running on the wheel. Do you ever get that?
I changed, I put the website up on the thing. I probably messed up the energy. There we go.
Anyway, I was looking for the name. I was like, but for anybody who's viewing this through you, I would love to offer you $75 off of your first session. Just type it in the notes when you book your consultation at the website and let me know that Tiffanie is how you found me. And I would really love to work with you because, again, I already know you're my people.
So let me ask this question for those people watching that are like, is it going to be hypnosis? Like hypnosis, am I going to be jumping on stage and clucking like a chicken at the end of this? Because it's one of those things. Sometimes when it's a little bit outside of the norm, not everybody gets it. I get that a lot with hypnotherapy and acupuncturists. It's like, okay, come on. So I want to at least let you have the opportunity to say, like I was hypnotized. I did it once. So I would eat more vegetables. I eat a lot more vegetables now than I did 25 years ago when I got hypnotized for. I mean, that was my purpose because it was a mind thing. So whether it was a hypnosis or not, whatever. But I'm like, some people are like, ooh, no, scary. And I'm like, no, ooh, good. So
Yeah. And that is honestly, hypnosis is grounded in neuroscience, actually. It's not mind control. Hollywood has done my industry dirty. I also don't make people cluck like chickens. It's just never been an interest of mine. What hypnosis is, the very real practical working definition of it, is when your mind takes in a piece of information and accepts it as a truth. So if you think about it that way, we have all been hypnotized all throughout our lives. When you cross the street, you look both ways automatically, for the most part, right? Or a lot of us have been hypnotized when we ask, what color is the sky? We automatically say blue, even though our logic tells us, well, actually, it's like clear, atmosphere-y, reflecty stuff. That is also hypnosis. So you cannot be hypnotized without your consent. I have never, it's not my job to make you believe something that you don't want to believe. So Tiffanie, you wanted to eat more vegetables. There was just this little unconscious sticking point that was there of maybe an old childhood belief of, I don't like vegetables. Perfectly normal. So what happened there was the belief, I don't like vegetables, was healed. And then you were free to do what you wanted to do. That's really my job, is to hold the flashlight while you are doing your own healing. Hypnosis, if you've ever been driving and you're having a conversation with yourself or someone in your head, why would you say that? Well, I would say this. And then you get home and you don't remember the drive.
Yeah.
That is what trance feels like for a lot of people. It's not that you're a zonked out zombie. It's not mind control. What it really is just getting that conscious chatter out of the way and really deeply focusing on the unconscious so that the unconscious can come up, give you the truth of what's going on. A lot of times we've stored things so far back in our unconscious mind that our conscious mind can't talk its way to it. I've had a lot of people that have had terrible anxiety, and they thought it was because of their parents or their this or their job. Turns out it was some weird little random experience back in maybe elementary or middle school that they had all but forgotten about. But that was the thing that needed to be healed in order to release the anxiety. So it's really more of a process of really deep discovery and curiosity than it is of influence.
I love it, y'all. So go to her website, which is here, chelsesalberthealing.com. And she said, make a note that you were here. You get to save $75 on your first healing session. And she's not promising, but there's a lot of things she's able to heal or at least make progress in that first session. And then you can get in her world, learn more about what she does, and really kind of, I'm like, I want to use the words because I like the, upgrade that you're going to be able to get. Now, I know we've got your website here. Where else can we find you online?
I'm on YouTube, Chelsey Albert Healing, Chelsey with a Y. You can also go to Instagram, Chelsey Albert Healing. Those are my two main ones. I will tell you, I'm the worst millennial you'll ever meet. So it is one of my personal goals to get better at social media and about posting, but I kind of post when I'm inspired. So I channel a lot and I read kind of the energy of the collective. So if something pops up, that's usually when you'll hear about it. But like to your point, that there's a lot of really good value that can come from even one session. My goal as a healer is to help you not need me as efficiently as possible. So that's always the goal with every session.
Love it, love it, love it. So really quickly before, I'll be back in just a minute to get that last thing before we go. I do want to remind everybody watching that International Child-Free Day is happening August 1st, y'all. And we are going to be doing an event that afternoon, at least East Coast time. And it is Connect, Collaborate, and Celebrate. So we're going to be doing round robin networking, several sessions throughout the event. We're going to have a mastermind session or two where in our official masterminds, everybody gets to ask a question, but there's too many people for this event for everyone to ask a question. So some of our members are going to have some questions that will apply to all. So we're going to do some of that brainstorming. I am going to share a couple tools that make it super easy for you to collaborate with each other, because to me, we're here to create that support, to create that community, create that environment, to help each other create that success. And so we're going to be doing all of that at the event. You can just go to womenentrepreneurslivingchildfree.com. We had a coupon code. The price, we just did the coupon code. Don't worry about it. So you're good. Just go there, get your ticket, come on out and network with us on International Child Free Day. Didn't even know it was a thing. Older than both of us. All right. So last call here. What is the last thing that you would like to leave us with today?
First of all, I'm super excited about that event and I can't wait for it. The thing that vanquishes fear is curiosity. If you are feeling stuck anywhere in your life, if there is something where it's like, I'm just not where I'm at, not where I want to be, not where I should be, not with this, anything that you're feeling is a sticking point in your life. Think about it this way. When you see a spider in the house, for me, it's spiders. Some people are afraid of snakes, but if you see a spider, if it's free in your kitchen, it's terrifying. If you put a glass over it and you start to get curious about it, all of a sudden, all of the fears start to disappear. Maybe not, maybe you still don't like them, but the thing that would have made you freak out starts to disappear when you get curious about it. So if you are at all curious about working with me, please do reach out. Even if you just want to have a chat and be like, hey, is this for me? I will tell you right away if it is or if it's not, and if I have a different idea for you. But most importantly, in your own life, anything that is keeping you from moving forward is something that is not necessarily meant to stay with you. If it's a block, remember you're wired to move forward. You're wired to live the life that has been put into your heart. So get curious about those little fears rather than thinking it's something wrong with you, because it's not.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with any of y'all. Well, I mean, maybe, but in this situation, in this conversation, there's nothing wrong with you. So yes, reach out, be curious, talk to Chelsey, see what's going on. Come join us on August 1st to check out the community. And next week, we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel, with another woman living child-free who's an entrepreneur. Thank you so much. Happy networking, y'all.